Essen ist fertig. Food's ready. No, guys, welcome to, it's a bit of an explainer what I'm going to show you how I made this mod and what it's all about. Now, as you can see, I've already done quite a lot of work, but we didn't have the possibility because of Corona, COVID, and certain restrictions that I could really delve into it and show it to you. Now, I've already finished quite a lot of the work, and soon I'll be starting, I've already started integrating the hardware, and then I'll be starting with the paint job and things like that. But I just want to show you what happened so far and why I'm building it. Now, as you all know, every year I take part in the German Championship, and the German Championship this year, it wasn't cancelled, but it was postponed due to obvious reasons, of course, Corona and other restrictions. And yeah, so it's not taking place or it didn't take place in January. Now we have February 2021. And the same thing goes for the Cooler Master World Series 2021. That is taking place, and I've already entered with this and with the battle box, but I wasn't finished in time due to the COVID restrictions and because I had to go to England for a family affair. But what I want to do is I want to show you what has happened so far and what this mod is all about. And usually, as you know, we start from day one, make the first cut, and then I show you all the progress as it develops. But in this case, I mean, it's better late than never, isn't it? The gong, yeah, well, let's start with the gong. As you just heard, I gonged here. And this mod is about the next of kin. I call it the next of kin. It's a little bit of a word game here. Instead of kin with KIN for the next of your bloodline or something like that, it's kin from the Qin dynasty, QIN. So it's a word game, the next of kin. This is the next thing we're seeing of this dynasty after, well, 2,300 years or something like that. As we all know, in China, in the 1970s, they started digging up all these terracotta soldiers. And I've got some small ones here. I didn't dig them up, I made them myself. But that's, the whole mod is going to be decorated with these soldiers because they are guarding their emperor, Qin. And so that's one of the highlights of this one. And what I wanted to do is, in the 1970s, they started digging up all these soldiers, which they are still digging up in China. And they realized just that each one of them was absolutely different, had a different expression, maybe a different pose or posture or whatever. And all sorts of weapons as well, like halberds and crossbows and lancers and swords. And so it was quite a thing which Qin and whoever was involved actually started making and burying in the sand until we dug it up in the 1970s and still are. And I decided this is one hell of an epic, magnificent theme to make. And so it has to look a little bit like that world which I'm trying to depict. In this case, computer case as well. It should remind you, when you look at it, a little bit like the Forbidden Palace or the Forbidden City. And that's why it's got the typical roof, and it's got the parapets here on the side, and you've got the armor, for instance, which is, instead of normal walling, which is going to be something like this very delicate armor here, but a little bit bigger, of course. And yeah, and the weapons and the culture and the logos and of course the Chinese writing, even though it's hard to tell for somebody like me whether it's supposed to be this way, this way, this way, or this way. So I hope I got it all right. I just Googled some words which I needed, like the Eternal Army, the next of kin, the Qin dynasty and things like that. And so I integrated them as well. But I hope that it's saying exactly what I wanted to say. Anyway, and yeah, and it's going to be integrated. It's going to have two water loops, one on each side, and these water loops with self-made reservoirs are going to be bubbling there, and they're actually holding the roof as well, which I can take off. This is elastic, and I'll just take it off by, if I have you know, the inkling to get into the hardware again, or I want to update the hardware or anything like that. So we've got these terraces here, and it's building up all the way to the top of the mod. The armor I've already showed you. Then it's got the 4 pillars upon which it's standing. That should, I hope, according to Google Translator, it says Qin Dynasty. Then we have the gong, which is going to be a very, very central piece of the computer mod, because this is all going to be modified, of course, and everything's going to have a totally different color. And it's not going to have a wooden hammer, it's going to have a metal hammer. And then to turn the computer on, it's actually going to be used as the on-off switch, because I'm going to be sanding this off. And when you hit it, then you have, you know, you're bridging the connection, and then the computer should turn on. That's the plan. Yeah, then here in the front, the light will leak through these little gates here. They are left open on purpose so that the light leaks through and will light up the little soldiers, which are going to be something like that. I've got a couple here. These, by the way, I made out of plaster of Paris, gypsum, by sawing. I bought these little soldiers in eBay, and then I sawed them in half, and I made a silicone mold, and yeah, and then I just poured myself 50 of these soldiers. So they're very delicate, and I beheaded a couple of them, and so they lost their feet as well, some of them. But after that, later on, I will be sticking them all over here, and as soon as they've got their paint job, then they're going to be guarding, you know, the whole Qin dynasty, or the next of kin, if you like. So what do we have? I'll show you some of the elements. This is actually dropped in, as you can see here. I can take it all apart if I like. So if you're going to carry the mod, you carry it up from here. One of the, I mean, it's a small detail, but it was very, very hard to make and to think up how to make it is. MDF is compressed sawdust, actually, with some chemicals and with glue. And as you can see, there is a curve coming up here. So you cannot bend MDF. So that was quite a chore and quite a, you know, I had to think this up how I'm going to do it. Maybe you can see the line there at the moment because it hasn't been painted yet. So I sanded this up, put another layer on it, and sanded it up as well. So we have that nice, I don't know what they call them in China, but that Chinese curve part there. It's all resting on the 4 pillars. If we go around the mod, then here you can see the halberds. They already have a little bit of paint on them, by the way. A halberd was a Chinese, a lance. Maybe I have a picture somewhere. Oh yeah, there I have a picture. I have to do a lot of research when I make things like this. It was a lance like this. Now they were very efficient in killing each other, just like any modern army as well. And what that lance did was, it used to get you behind the neck, and it used to rupture all your, you know, all the tendons and everything when they pulled it back. Or they could just hack you, or yeah, they could use the other side, which is back there. You can't see it here, as a, you know, sort of a hacker, like an axe or something. So it was very efficient and just another way of killing each other. So modern warfare is the same as well. So I made 4 of them, and they match the style of the parapets, which are these ones here. These are actually, I can show you what they are. These are actually, I think you stand them up like this. I bought some holes in this. This is not the way which you would buy it usually. It's some type of a little showcase for medals and trophies and things like that. So I managed to pick some up in eBay. I made a rubber, oh yeah, you can see it here as well. A rubber gasket for them as well. And I drilled some holes in them, and they are going to become water reservoirs. I have the Thermaltake water reservoir here as well, of course, and it's got the D5 pump, and that will be sucking the water out of these 2 big side caskets as well. They are resting on the parapets here, like Chinese pavilions, and they are also holding this, which looks a bit too modern at the moment, but it will change in its look. This is actually to keep the roof on. Let's put it up. So now that's stuck to the top here. The roofing itself is one whole piece which I can take off, except for this, because I can get to the wiring when I'm finished with the wiring. These are going to have plastic protruding out, and then you're going to have a paint job and things like that. But once again, we've got the shielding, you got the handle, the name in English, but with a Chinese font will be sticking out. I've got a layer of plexiglass underneath here, which you can't see at the moment, but you will be able to see it when it lights up. I made all these tiles out of a type of cardboard, and I stuck them on, and it took me about a week to do it, to get them all as straight as possible and to have them overlapping, and that was a neck breaker. So yeah, that's the Chinese roofing. And what I wanted to do is that when you take the roof off, I don't have to connect any wires at all. So I made a spring system. I'll go around that side and then I can show you it over there. I'm still not finished with the back, of course. When I take this elastic off, like this, now usually, seeing as it's, this will be lit up, then there would be some type of a wire connection so that, you know, you connect it like some plug or something and then it lights up. But in this case, I just take it off. Do that now and then I can show you. As soon as I stick it on or take it off, then it's already lit up because I made these two springs and they are connected down here to a wire, which automatically hits to opposite connectors, and then that will all light up. Yesterday, what I was working on was the back magazines for the Thermaltake water cooling. I've got two radiators, 2x240. One is going to be for this side, one is for the other side. And they are just drop in. I don't need any screws at all. What's going to happen is I made a gasket, just a minute. Ah, there it is. Yeah. This is just a rough idea of what it's going to look like. I always cut it in cardboard, first of all. But this is going to be somewhere like this. Of course, in a different design and everything. But then, if I take the cover off, then I can just slap these in without any screws. It's all just one unit. Now here in the back, there's still a lot going to happen because I haven't got any power connector yet. I haven't got the connections from the main board, which I'll show you in a minute, because they all have to come outside here, and the main board is actually pointing downwards, so all the connectors are underneath. At the bottom, I will have a 750 watt Cooler Master power supply. Then I will have all the water cooling is from Thermaltake. From NVIDIA, I managed to get RTX 3070. And yeah, that's just about it, I think. Yeah. And the Cooler Master, oh yeah, the Master Case XL 500, which is, you can't really see much of it now because that's the first thing I do, and I chop it all up and put it inside there. Yeah, that's what it's based upon, because it's actually a case mod, whether you believe it or not. So thank you very much to all my sponsors and partners for that hardware. That makes life easier, of course. And also to Thermaltake, of course, for the RAM and for the water cooling and the long-time partnership. Yeah, then here in the back, I also have a panel. There, I can show you it. And as you can see there, I have the I/O panel of the master case. Now I'm going to somehow, I made this beforehand when I was making the base, and you know, light leaks out here and it would leak out here as well. But I might change this. That's why I made it dismantleable, so that I can take it out in case I make changes in the end, which I usually do. So instead of putting this in there, I will probably have that connector there, and so you can, you know, use it for certain things, especially external USB and loudspeakers and things like that. Now these can actually be taken out as soon as I unconnect it here, and they are just resting inside there, and the elastic will pull the lid down onto them, and then of course they're snug as a bug. Of course I need some connections here as well, because I've got the outlet there and I need the inlet here as well, so that makes the loop. The whole main board itself can be taken out all in one go. Underneath, there's a lot of room where I can put all sorts of things like wires and you know, the sound module, 2 loudspeakers, which I'm going to put in the front as well, because like with many other mods, I want it to, it won't have a screen this time. I've done that quite a few times. I did think of putting a flip out screen, but I did that with the last mod as well, the title, which I want to defend this year, so God will. But it will have loudspeakers playing, maybe some self-composed music. So let's just see that I'm not hanging anywhere. All right, so let's take it out. As I took out that whole cartridge, if you like, with the main board and everything, then I realized that this thing is full of dust and or sand. It's sand, actually. It's Chinese sand, because of course they dug it up out of the sand, and so it's part of the whole feature and of the mod as well. So I'm going to get rid of that, and then right now the aim on this mod is, of course, that when it's finished, I want it to look as if it's really been lying in the Chinese soil for the last 2,500 years almost. And I want to give it a very patinaed look, a very dirty, weathered, war-torn, weather-beaten, bashed-up look like this, and colors like this. I mean, it's fantastic if you think about it. Some of the colors which they had, and some of the, look at that, things like this. This is all about the Chinese army, the Qin dynasty, and I've been getting some ideas from this, because I want to get the history right, of course. It's not going to be red, it's not going to be gold. It might have some small elements, but it's not going to be anything like we usually think about, you know, Chinese restaurant type. I don't want to make it like that. It's supposed to depict the heritage of China, Qin for China or for China. How it's going to develop, you will see in the next videos. So I hope to see you then, right?